Hey, it's Rachel Cooke, your modern mentor. I'm the founder of Lead Above Noise, where we help leaders and teams drive strong performance while also preserving humanity in sustainable ways. And today, I'm closing out my 4-part series on how we can combat burnout without dialing back the volume on our work. And if your team or organization could use some extra support, a boost of insight and action, head over to leadabovenoise.com/burnout. You'll find ways to work with me and some extra resources to help you DIY this, if that's your preference. I hope something in this series has left you feeling a little more grounded and clear and maybe capable of creating change for yourself and your team. So far, we've expanded our definition of burnout as more than a problem of too much work. We've looked at how it can be about having too much work, but it can also be about feeling bored, like we're not learning or being challenged. Or it can come from loneliness and disconnection, or from having to wade through bureaucracy and meetings that go nowhere, and on and on. We have talked about the impossible weight that some managers in particular are carrying, and how they can lighten their loads just by letting go of some assumptions that aren't serving anyone, like that it's their job to keep everyone happy or always have the answers. And then we talked about how to start to create action, to drive change, not through long-term plans, but through targeted choices, like finding one way to connect with one person, or to opt out of one meeting that you're not adding value to, or to incorporate learning into the flow of work. These are all potential starting places. And now, we're going to talk about how to keep this going, because this work doesn't end after one reset or one round of applause. It takes consistency and persistence and a willingness to fail along the way. The antidote to burnout isn't a single wellness initiative. It's building a system, one block at a time, that actually works. One where time and energy are protected, where clarity and connection are prioritized, where purpose and learning matter. And they happen through small experiments that slowly start to stick. So let's talk about what that really looks like in practice. We start with experiments, not overhauls. It begins with a mindset shift from perfection to experimentation, from overhaul to iteration. Instead of chasing the one perfect solution, try asking, what's one thing we could try this week that might make the work feel a little lighter or clearer? And from there, build a practice of noticing. Ask your team, what's one thing we're still pretending is working, even though we know it's not? Or what's one place where we're holding a burden alone and we could be asking for help from another team? Or what's one small moment in the past week that made the work feel better? And how can we repeat it and build upon it? These questions are designed to spark insight, which in turn help drive action. Next, we want to make sure we're celebrating small wins out loud. Because when action happens, even tiny action, it needs to be seen and celebrated. If your goal is 0 unnecessary meetings, don't wait until you've eliminated every single excess meeting before you celebrate. Celebrate the one you canceled this week that earned somebody 30 minutes back, that created a little bit more space for someone to think or breathe or focus. If your goal is true strategic collaboration, celebrate the one project where the right voices got included from the start. Name the win, because celebration is fuel. It makes us feel good and it makes us want to keep going. So look for progress before you look for finish lines. Next, share and multiply what works. This is how progress compounds. If every manager on your team tries one experiment per quarter, and then at the end of that quarter, everyone shares what worked for them, what didn't, and what they learned, the impact multiplies. It's no longer one person trying something in isolation. It becomes a collective shift, a force multiplier. You can even formalize it. One experiment, one quarter, one circle to share and learn. And over time, this becomes not a one-time fix, but a team habit. Next, make sure you involve your team in the change. This is not a top-down job. If you're trying to build a culture that protects energy and cultivates clarity, the people actually doing the work need to help shape how that happens. So ask your team what would help them feel more focused, more trusted, more connected. Invite them to identify small points of friction, and then ask, what's burning you out? not to vent, but to help co-create solutions. And when someone has an idea, let them test it. Empower your team members to run their own experiments, to lead the change, not just wait for it. Because the best solutions come from the people who are closest to the work. And when you give those people the freedom to test new ways of working, they start to believe that change is not only possible, but it's actually theirs to drive. Next, let failure be part of the process. Some experiments will fail, and that's okay. One of the most powerful things you can do is normalize failure, not as something to fix, but as something to learn from. If you tried a new meeting format and it flopped, talk about it. If you loosened a process and things got messy, reflect on what you would do differently next time. When people see that failure doesn't lead to shame or retraction, they're more willing to try again. And this is where real growth happens. And finally, build the practice. Create the pattern. If you're looking for a roadmap out of burnout, here it is. It is not a perfect plan. It's a rhythm. Start with one change, celebrate it out loud, share what you're learning, engage your team, embrace the flops, and keep moving. Maybe you start a shared doc or a channel where your team logs what's working, what you're testing, what you're changing, not to report or to prove anything, but to just make the momentum really visible. Maybe you close each quarter by asking, what did we try, what got better, and what's next? Maybe you stop asking what will fix this and start asking, what can we shift today? Challenge doesn't happen because we found the perfect strategy. It happens because we paid attention and we stayed in motion, because we decided that doing better was worth trying again and again. So no, you don't have to fix everything this week, but you can stop pretending that burnout will fix itself, or worse, that it's unsolvable. And if you want to help build this rhythm in your team or across your organization, I'd love to support you. You can find me at leadabovenoise.com/burnout. Whether it's a workshop, a keynote, or a manager series, we build the muscle of sustainable, meaningful change without adding to your burnout in the process. Thank you so much for being here for this series. If even one episode sparked something for you, that is momentum, and I hope you'll keep building on it. And that you'll shoot me a note at rachel@leadabovenoise.com just to let me know. Join me next week for another great episode of Modern Mentor. Until then, visit leadabovenoise.com for more about the work I do and ways I can help. You can follow Modern Mentor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Thanks so much for listening and have a successful week. Modern Mentor is a quick and dirty tips podcast. It's audio engineered by Dan Farabend. Our director of podcasts is Holly Hutchings. Our podcast and advertising operations specialist is Morgan Christensen. And our marketing contractor is Nathaniel Hoops.